This year, Rose and James Ellison. One is alongside Shane Byrne, the other one is right behind him. This is going to be an absolute corker of a race. Let's go over to our commentators, James Whittam and Jack Burnicle.
The sun is out. It's a perfect summer's day here at Brands Hatch, and having seen the Britain and the Ducati MotoGP bikes rumbling round in the hands of Scott Smart and John Hackett, it might be worth remembering that Colin Seeley is organising a wonderful classic racing club festival at Donington Park, the 9th to the 11th of August. If you like your old bikes and to see wonderful people like Phil Reed, Chaz Mortimer and Terry Reimer in action, that's the place to be. The Joan Seeley Pain Relief Memorial Trust, now in its 34th year of providing support to hospitals and hospices throughout the UK with medical equipment, is going to benefit from that weekend at Donington Park. Look at that, there's John Hackett. Oh, have you been getting your knee down, John? And he was out on Loris Caparossi's number 65 iconic machine there. Now, the standings in the MCE British Superbike Championship in association with Pirelli after 10 of 26 races, 207 points to Shaky Byrne, 175 to Alex Lowes, who slipped back into second place ahead of Josh Brooks on the Tyco Suzuki. James Ellison, the only other race winner besides the top two here on the Milwaukee Yamaha on 100 points. Ryuichi Kianari, who looks to me almost back to his best during practice here on the Samsung Honda, is 5th. John Kirkham, build-based BMW, is 6th, only 4 points ahead of his teammate James Westmoreland. Chris Walker, 2 points further back for Quattro Plant Kawasaki, ahead of PJ Jacobson, the gradually improving American, ahead of Keith Farmer, making his return on the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki. 11th for Peter Hickman, 12th place for the absent Tommy Bridewell, 13th for Josh Waters, who struggled round here a bit. Jakob Smertz, with his family with him for the first time, is in 14th place, ahead of Howie Mainwaring, Matteo Baiocco, Dan Linfoot, Michael Rutter, Robin Harms and Carl Harris. The starting grid features Shaky Byrne on pole position. Alex Lowes is second, and then third place, Josh Brooks. He led an absolute riot of almost a race during qualifying. Yuichi Kianari was involved in that. He ended up in 4th place. James Ellison in 5th place. James Westmoreland, Chris Walker, PJ Jacobson were all involved in that race for a good time. So too was Dan Linfoot and Michael Rutter. Jakob Smertz ended up in 11th place. Carl Harris in 12th. Keith Farmer heads up row 4 on his return from an injury at Snetterton. Howie Mainwaring is next up, ahead of Peter Hickman and Lee Costello. What a start for Shaky Byrne. He just aims for the very, very first early apex there at Paddock Hill Bend, and it looks as if the two Samsung Hondas might have launched side by side down the hill. Great start for Kianari behind Alex Lowes as they drop into Druids Hill Bend, with Josh Brooks, usually the fast starting Australian, pushed back down to 4th place. I said Keogh looked back to his best and instantly shows it, but look at that move by Alex Lowes. Gets inside Shaky Byrne on the drop, and he's grabbed the lead.
He has, he's definitely grabbed the lead. He's up the inside into Surtees, that'll hold it. Yeah, Shaky will looking to make a late apex, which he does, and get the drive out on the straight. Chris Walker, I think, is in 5th place, Jack.
On one of the build-based boys, I think it's Westmoreland is in 6th place as they plunge down the hill. Pilgrim's Drop up the hill to Hawthorne's Bend. What a glorious sight on a day like this. Alex Lowes has snatched the advantage. Here comes Josh Brooks. And James, I said, how short is that Minter Straight? How fast do you have to make a decision to make a move there?
Absolutely, it's short on any bike, but with these things with over 200 brake horsepower and slick tyres on it, it is really short.
Now they launch down to the left-hander as they go through that beautiful saucer-shaped 65-mile-an-hour third gear left-hander. Then it's up to 150 miles per hour as they go through clearways, back down to 75, a mere 75, up above the legal speed limit on Britain's motorways as you go ripping round 5th gear, 160 miles an hour down the Brabham Straight, 3 abreast.
Chris Walker too.
Stalker looking very happy with life there in 5th place.
Yep. He says he's got to a place where he knows what pace he can go. He knows it's good enough for sort of top 6 and to put him in the top 6 in the showdown, and he's really aiming for that. He's as settled and riding as well as he has for years, is Chris Walker.
Second lap of 18. Lowe's, Byrne, Brooks, Chianari, Walker, Westmoreland. They are the guys who've made a slight break. Jacobson's now on the back of Westmoreland on the second Taiko Suzuki. Michael Rutter, rejuvenated on the Batham's Honda, is 8th. Keith Farmer making a lightning fast return, is 9th ahead of James Ellison, Dan Linfoot and Howie Mainwaring, who's putting Michael Howarth's Kawasaki team on the map.
Yeah, 12th place for them if they can go to the end with this for Mainwaring. And yeah, Michael Howarth's team is fantastic, I've got to say.
Alex Lowe, Samsung Honda, plunging down Dingley Dell ahead of Shaky Byrne and Josh Brooks. Just a slight gap now back to Chianari. There's Michael Rutter on the black and gold Batham's Honda.
Yeah, they've got new engines, a lot more power, a lot more drive off the turns, and immediately Rutter says the bike's a lot more rideable and he can go quicker on it.
Do you know, he showed that because
Here comes Josh Brooks on his jack.
Brooks cuts underneath. That was a great move on Shane Byrne.
Yeah, Brooks just doesn't muck about, you know. Whenever he qualifies, he's up for a race on Sunday morning. You know that. Yeah, difficult on these. You're arriving there so quick on these superbikes. There's lots of lumps and bumps going on, and you've got to make sure you hit the brakes at the right time. Otherwise, the rear wheel comes up over the big crest, and they can't get the thing stopped.
There are 2 points where Shaky Byrne has his maximum braking. There's one of them.
Yeah.
Down that short but deceptively steep plunge out of Druids Hill. And then they go along the Cooper Straight, hit Surtees here, the uphill one. And then after they've climbed up and across the top, James, what's astonished me is that the maximum braking required is on the uphill into Hawthorne's Bend, because they've got to lose 100 miles an hour as they come out of the dip.
And this is it, and it's not, you're not on the brakes for long, but you're on the brakes really hard. You go on the power, hard on the power, off the power, and instantly on the brakes really hard, and then dump the brakes before you turn it into Hawthorne. It is, and because it's uphill, you get a lot more grip on the brakes. You kind of dive into the hillside and get that to scrub speed off as well.
What was astonishing, well, I found watching it in the flesh during qualifying yesterday, was the accuracy with which they pin the curve on the inside at the speed they've come down from into Hawthorne's Bend. It's really awesome.
One of the lovely things about Brands Hatch is you've got to be fairly accurate everywhere, because you're going so quick and one corner leads to another. You need to get a drag onto the straight a lot of the time. So if you're not accurate, you do suffer lap time-wise.
Josh Brooks right on the back wheel of Alex Lowe. Samsung Honda versus Taiko Suzuki down the Brabham Straight, with Shaky Byrne hovering on the red and white Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki, and Chianari just about keeping pace. Fastest man on track on that lap in 8th place, James Ellison, Milwaukee, Yamaha 126.246.
Sorry, he just ran a little bit wide there. I think he's in that second group going for like 5th, 6th, 7th. He's in that group somewhere.
There's the front three. Chianari, as I say, getting back towards his best. His style through Hawthorne Bend is unmatched by anybody else. He is phenomenal.
Isn't it lovely? And economical and kind of relaxed as well.
He's getting slightly isolated now. Oh, we've got a problem. Oh, is that that's Matteo Baiocco, the reigning Italian Superbike champion, has got a problem.
Here we go. Oh, look at that. That is the shortest straight in the world. Like you said, that Minter straight, but there were 3 abreast going in there into Westfield.
And Brooks has the lead. Where did he get that from?
What happened there? Sorry, how did I miss that?
Josh Brooks has grabbed the lead. That must have been when we were watching Matteo in the pit.
Exactly, yeah.
So, Josh Brooks, and a big moment there coming out of Stirling's Bend for Shaky Byrne.
I'd like to see the pass again. Brooks on Lowe's. I reckon that must have been going in to Hawthorne. Must have been.
So on the 5th, here we go.
Well, he's already done it there, so it must have been into Westfield. I am sure, because Lowe's definitely had it at Surtees.
So going up to Druids Hill Bend, we're on the 5th lap of 18. Josh Brooks, the popular Australian on the Taiko Suzuki, resident now, of course, in Northern Ireland, just back from some serious and successful testing for the Suzuka 8-hour race, leads the way. Behind him, number 22, Alex Lowe's. We know how fiercely the young Lincolnshire man will fight.
Yeah, and Josh Brooks, you know, talented on all kind of bikes. He can ride trials. He completed the Scott trial, one of the hardest one-day trials in the world. He completed it, which is an almost impossible thing to do for a non-trials rider. Here comes Shane Byrne up the inside at Hawthorne's.
Josh Brooks also finishes oh, and look at Alex, what a response that was.
Yeah, Josh Brooks also awesome on a motocross bike, good at sort of freestyle stuff.
Top 10 national motocross in Ireland.
Yeah, and he's just got so much bike control, and he's good on the roads. He's done the Isle of Man, the Northwest, and fastest newcomer ever around the TT course. He is, I don't want to say master of none, but definitely a jack of all trades, and he's good at everything on a motorcycle.
The battle for 5th place, Walker, Westmoreland, Ellison now right with them, and that is the next big battle going on beside. There's Kianari, there's the next bunch. Look at this, with Jacobson in there as well. So Walker with that conspicuous new, well, back to the old helmet design.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
He reckons that's the reason he's going so fast, but he's trying to fend off James Westmoreland on the build-based BMW, the bright red number 27, the red-black Milwaukee Monster Energy Yamaha, and right with them, PJ Jacobson, who is really beginning to get to grip the bigger of the Suzukis.
Yeah, and Ellison, you just get the impression has been held up a little bit behind Walker and Westmoreland. That's the third one he shot, the second of the red bikes, and yeah, he's looking for a way past Westmoreland anyway he can, and meanwhile the leaders have gone. I'm fairly convinced that James can put the lap times in round here. He needs to make the start and get away with the guys we're seeing now, Brooks, Lowes and Byrne.
And he must have made an awful start, James, because he was actually in 5th on the second row of the grid.
He really did. Here comes Westmoreland having a look at Walker down into Westfield. That's not going to work.
That looks so ragged coming out there. I did mention to you, James, how I was amazed at how light the bikes go as they go off that edge on the exit to Westfield.
Yeah, a lovely bit of track if you get it right. Scary if you get it even slightly wrong. It really is. Here comes Shane Byrne. I've got to say, I don't think Shane Byrne will be panicking. It doesn't look to me like Josh Brooks is able to put, you know, anything more than a tenth or two here and there. Man, you know, it looks a bit more now.
Set his fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 126.4.
Yeah. Last 2 laps he's done that, to be honest.
126.5 on that lap for Shaky Byrne.
Yep.
All, in fact, the front three, all 126 and a half.
Yeah, almost identical times for these three.
You've got to say, it's beginning to look like the front 4 in this race, Brooks, Lowes, Byrne, Kianari, they are going to be 4 of the 6 participants in the showdown at the end of the season. The other 2 places are going to be...
I've heard some scraping. I heard some scraping. I'm fairly convinced there's somebody off there. Let's have a look. Oh, it's Ellison, I think.
A frustrated James Ellison.
Oh, Walker's gone down with him. Well, do you know what? Ellison looked to be getting fairly and keen to get past. Walker's checking issue. I don't know that. It looks to me like Walker might be saying there could be something on the track. He doesn't look too fed up with James Ellison, but he certainly looks like he's pointing to the track. Maybe he thinks that there's some on the track and he doesn't want anybody else to fall off.
That's a Graham Hill bend.
Yeah.
And we've lost 2 men who need the points to get into that showdown, James.
Absolutely they do. Yeah, and it's amazing, you know, you never lose the kind of ear to spot that kind of scrapey, nasty, knocking gravel sound when a bike goes into the gravel traps.
That's good news for John Kirkham and James Westmoreland, because Walker was just behind them in the championship standings. And James Ellison, of course, is lying in 4th place in the championship standings, ahead of Yuichi Kianari, but not by all that much, by 17 points. So Keogh's benefiting. And
these 3 are telescoping back together. Josh Brooks has had a go, and he's not managed to get away. Fastest man on track. That last lap was Shane Byrne, but only fractionally quicker than Brooks and Lowes.
So Brooks, Lowes, Byrne at the front. Kianari, Westmoreland, Jacobson filling out the top 6 ahead of Michael Rutter. John Kirkham, who would be really smiling if he knew that those other 2 guys had gone out. Keith Farmer running strongly in 9th place ahead of Howie Mainwaring, Dan Linfoot and Peter Hickman. Here comes Shane Byrne up the inside into Hawthorne. That's clean as a whistle. Can he hold it and not run wide and allow? We've seen Lowes get up the inside of him before this, trying again. Now he's got it this time. Dropping down into Dingle Dell, Josh Brooks leads the way. 2nd place, Shaky Byrne. 3rd place, Alex Lowes. The battle on. Look at Lowes drifting out of Sheen Curve. Kianari still running well in 4th place. Westmoreland is certainly doing himself a power of good in 5th place. So too is PJ Jacobson running in 6th. Michael Rutter really back on the boil in 7th place. Kirkham is a big beneficiary in 8th place here in the overall championship standings.
And can I say get well soon to Susie, who is the partner of Michael Rutter. She's broke her leg falling down the stairs and a little bit ill in a minute. So yeah, get well soon, Susie. Lovely last year's.
Howie Mainwaring in 10th place. Dan Linfoot back in 11th place ahead of his teammate at GB Moto Honda. There is James Ellison trudging back into the Milwaukee Yamaha camp and not looking the happiest of lads.
He wouldn't be, would he?
The point scorers, Jakob Smertz is in 13th place for Paget's Honda, and then Lee Costello, who's now of course got the great Jack Valentine fighting his corner in the Halsall Racing Garage, is 14th. Carl Harris in 15th.
At half distance, this is looking fairly ominous. I think he's starting to look like Shane Byrne's got his eye in a little bit here. He's right on the back wheel now of Josh Brooks. Good job by Brooks, though. You never can discount the man come Sunday morning.
Do you know, he's had 8 podiums, 5 times second, 3 times third, but never actually managed to win yet this year, Josh Brooks.
And that boy likes winning.
Yeah. Brooks, Byrne, Lowe's. Here we go, as they go launching through clearways into the Clark curve. Keogh running a little more distantly now in 4th place. And then that battle for precious points involving Westmoreland, Jacobson, Rutter, Kirkham, Farmer, Mainwaring. Huge crowd here, as you'd expect at Brands Hatch on such a potentially boiling weekend of this. It certainly got warmer after a cool start. There was even a fret in the air this morning as I was walking into the track.
Yeah, and some of that crowd on the South Bank is Bob Collins. He's a lad from London. He got a company selling tyres, fitting tyres, and USA Racing Superstock, brilliant rider back in his day, and a real good lad is Bob. His mum's watching from home, Zaki, because she's not so well at the minute too. Really good lad. He's got his barbecue out. He's invited me over, but I'm not going to have a chance to go and get a burnt sausage off him at any point.
Got any more medical problems to report?
No,
or are we clear
he's
now?
a real nice lad, he's Bob, and I only get to see him when I'm in London, which isn't that often for me.
Josh Brooks now really under pressure from Shaky Byrne. We know, in all honesty, that those piercing pale blue eyes of Shaky Byrne, he knows he doesn't have to win this race, but you know that he wants to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he was as nervous as I've seen him for a long time on the grid there. He certainly had the kind of, yeah, he was feeling it, I know that.
Do you know, Josh Waters has finally made his way into the points on the surviving Milwaukee Yamaha. He had a torrid time during practice and qualifying, the Australian champion, but he's made it in. He's nudged Carl Harris out of 5th place.
Just got a text from Cal Fogarty up there watching in Blackburn. He says he'll let us know if there's any passers, being how we missed the pass Brooks. Almost, he says he'll be sure to text us and let us know if anything happens. Thanks, Foggy. Shane Byrne getting a little bit frustrated now, and Alex Lowe's isn't out of this. I think possibly now Brooks has not got the pace of either Byrne or Lowe's.
Number 2, Josh Brooks. Number 22, Alex Lowe's making a move there. Can he stop it? Yes, he can, because if he couldn't, I think he'd have hit Shaky, and that would have straightened him up.
I think he would. I've got a feeling Byrne's going to come past him down Pilgrim's Drop. Yep. No. I thought he'd got the pace to go up the inside into Hawthorne there.
Across the top now, 130 mile an hour third gear sprint, and then dropping it back to 70 miles an hour third gear entrance as they plow down. 130 miles an hour they touch in third gear through Dingle Dell and drive up the hill back down to 70, the third gear round the right-hander at Sheen Curve. And then that fabulous saucer-shaped 65 mile an hour third gear left-hander. Then would you believe they get up to 150 under the bridge before they have to back it off for the 75 mile an hour entrance to the Clark curve?
Mate, you would not believe how fast these things accelerate. They weigh about less than 170 kilos dry, and they've got over 200 brake horsepower. And that is a power to weight that is almost incomprehensible to anybody who's not been on a motorcycle. They accelerate like you cannot believe. With the right gear, and these things are going 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. They are fast accelerating.
Round Druids Hill Bend. dropping down the hill. This very much back onto part of the original grass track that started out in 1926. Most of us actually were first raced around here in 1928, would you believe?
Were you watching?
I wasn't. I'd like to have been.
Yeah, I bet you would. Yeah, that'd have been good, wouldn't it?
Brooks, 11 laps of 18. We're just about on 2/3 race distance here. And the most powerful trio in British Superbikes at the moment of swapping places and paint. There goes Shaky Byrne.
Yeah, and Shane Byrne didn't allow Lowe's back up the inside. He tried to cut to the inside. He's passed Byrne there before. And like I say, he's only a short straight, but he managed to do it.
Brooks still at the front. Can he find that elusive first race win for Taiko Suzuki here at Brands Hatch? He's got another 6 laps to fend off Shane Byrne and Alex Lowe's.
Yeah, I get the impression now that what Brooks needs is Lowe's just to harry and to push Shane Byrne and allow him just that little bit of breathing. Oh, Shane's
Shaky.
Did you see that, Jack? Going out the back and being laid on the track by Shane Byrne. That's an indication just how hard he's trying.
James Westmoreland in 5th, Jacobson running in 6th place, John Kirkham 7th, Keith Farmer has nudged through to 8th place ahead of Michael Rutter on the Batham's Honda.
Good ride by Farmer. He's in a lot of pain. He's still got that blood clot on his, I think, left calf. It's certainly on one of his calves, and in a lot of pain when his legs are bent double to get on this machine.
Do you know, Dan Linfoot's doing what he did at Snetterton in the second race, James. He's suddenly making a move in the second half of the race. He's now through to 10th place ahead of Mainwaring, and he seems to gather pace as the race goes on the GB Motors Honda. Dropping down the hill, this is Shaky Byrne snatching the lead from Josh.
Oh, he's off! He's off!
Down! Shaky Byrne, the championship leader.
Oh.
Wow, what a big move he made at Hawthorns, and he paid the price.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he went in, he just carried a little bit too much brake going in there. Uncharacteristic mistake from Shane Byrne. I don't think he made it very hard. He might have got to the barrier, but he wasn't going so quick, and he did. Gravel trap doing its job there, because you aren't half motoring there, Jack. I've actually crashed there myself, and I will tell you, it is a fast place to go. It's a good thing to see. That's a really good thing to see.
It looks like he might have given himself, well, he'd have given himself a bit of a bump and a batter at that point, wouldn't you? Oh, here we go, James.
Yeah, here he goes up the inside. He's gone in a bit tight. He has to do. He's still carrying a little brake. He's lost the front, and that's such a fast crash. I cannot even tell you. Oh, that's it from the outside. Oh. The big problem they've got there is the fact they've got to get the bike ready for race 2, and that's not going to be easy. That didn't look so well as it was piling towards the barrier, bits coming off it. Yeah, the Paul Bird Motorsport Rapid Solicitors team has got the job to do now. They really have.
Brooks, Lowe's, Kianari now in 3rd place, Westmoreland 4th, 5th PJ Jacobson, 6th John Kirkham, 7th place for Keith Farmer, 8th Dan Linfoot, 9th Michael Rutter, 10th for Howie Mainwaring.
Do you know what? I was just thinking before this race started, all this weekend, that Shane Byrne is looking like the man. Everybody's saying he's freewheeling, he's taking it easy, he always wins at Brands Hatch. And I'll tell you, you never, ever know what's going to happen in bike racing, because that is an easy thing to do, and that's for a man right at the top of his game, on a bike he's used to winning on, and on a circuit where he's unbeaten for years. And that can easily happen with motorcycle racing, and that's one of the exciting parts about it, Jack. You just can't call it sometimes. Well, anytime.
Dan Linfoot, did I say he was making progress? He's got Rutter now. He's moved through to 8th place, which was the position he reached in the second race at Snetterton.
It's going to get fast as well.
Let's check out the fastest lap qualification, because that, of course, what did I say then? Classification. Ellison, would you believe, even though he's out of the race, would start the second race on pole from Josh Brooks, Alex Lowe's and Shaky Byrne. The second row would have Yuichi Kianari, PJ Jacobson, James Westmoreland and Chris Walker. And the third row would be led by John Kirkham from Michael Rutter, Dan Linfoot and Howie Mainwaring.
One thing I can tell you is in the Rapid Solicitors garage now, they will be panicking. It'll be a kind of controlled panic. They'll want to get that bike back. They'll have somebody out there now going around the perimeter track trying to get it back, because they need to get it sorted. This is quite important that they start working on it now, because it's going to take some fixing, I'll tell you.
Here's Dan Linfoot,
number 4.
on the Lloyd's Finance GB Motors on it. What a move on the purple and white bike. He's come from a long way back. He's now launched past Keith Farmer into seventh place.
Good. Well, what do you always say about Dan Linfoot? I like him anyway. He's a fellow Yorkshireman, but he can ride a bike. There's no question. Good mid-corner speed past Hawthorne's the point at which Shaky Burn dramatic. Oh, dear me.
And look at this. Howie Mainwaring's having a nibble at Michael Rutter. So Howie, really inspired by his new role of father, is really coming on strong.
Yeah, he comes up the inside and that's not going to work. And I can tell you they've got new sponsors. That Michael Howarth Kawasaki team, they've got new sponsors. It's a firm from Bradford that supplies all the kind of printing and graphic and vinyl stuff to the signage industry. And they put some money in, and good luck to them. And this is a good ride from Howie Mainwaring. It really is.
Howie pressing the vastly experienced 41-year-old Michael Rutter, who we've lost track of how many races Michael has run in British superbikes, but I tell you, it's several hundred.
Yeah, and I don't know whether Howie Mainwaring can stand another good result. He has to have a new tattoo every time he has a good result. He's running out of skin.
Josh Brooks still leads the way. He's got, well, how many? He's got 2 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go. Can he fend off the exuberant Lincolnshire lad in second place, number 22, Alex Lowes?
And you know what, when Shane Byrne went up the inside into Hawthorne's of Josh Brooks, and obviously it was very visible to the number 22, Alex Lowes, as well. You see somebody slide off in a big way and disappear from your view, because you've got to watch where you're going, you've got to concentrate, and you've got to forget it really quick, and sometimes it's difficult. You see something happen, you think, uh-oh, but then you've got to get back to your job fairly quick. Good study of Alex Lowes there, clearways. Good riding style, Alex. Very sort of the currently popular style of sort of cranking your head forward, elbow out. More of an aggressive style, and a lot of the younger riders are riding this way now. Josh Brooks more of an upright body style.
I can tell you one fella who would like to see him win this race. We've got a really special guest in the Samsung Honda garage. This is his retirement weekend, and he's chosen to come to Brands Hatch. Mr. Satoru Horiki, Managing Director and President of HRC, would you believe? He was the project leader on the RC30, the NR 500 and 750, the CBR 600, the VFR, and went on to be president of HRC and was responsible for the first RCV 211. How good a record is that? And
I tell you, the most amazing bike of all those was the NR. That had oval pistons, not round pistons. It was an engineering kind of masterpiece. It never really caught on. It was expensive to build, and they did it just because they could. It was basically a V4 it's like a V8 knocked into 4, if you know what I mean. It had 8 valves per cylinder. It was a complete nightmare to make, I would imagine, from an engineering point of view, but what a beautiful bike it was.
Well, Mr. Horiki was responsible for that, and he's chosen to come here to Brands Hatch to enjoy his final weekend of work. So we'd like to wish him a long and fulfilling retirement.
Yep, and his man's doing him proud there. Number 22, Alex Lowes.
And there is the very man in question. Yep. With Javier Beltran there on the left-hand side. And,
I've got to admit, you don't look too pleased about it.
He doesn't, no, because Alex isn't winning. Second and third place, but at the moment, he's still being led by the Taiko Suzuki into the final lap. Josh Brooks, is it finally going to happen for the engaging Australian?
I think it is. I think it is.
Brooks, who of course has been successful in World Superbikes, in World Supersport, Australian Superbikes and Supersport, but Alex Lowes, as you would expect, is putting in one final last lap charge here.
Yeah, he is, and you've got to just be a little bit careful. The last lap sort of dashes, especially this time in the season.
He's going to get the drive out of Surtees. He'll be looking for that down the hill now.
I don't think he's just got enough. You know, yeah, it's going to be a lunge from this point for Alex Lowes if he's going to do anything about the leader. Brooks,
Up till this point, Brooks has ridden an immaculate race.
He has, from the front, and it hasn't been easy.
Josh, who was signing endless autographs in the Taiko Suzuki garage, but I tried to get in to have a quick word with him before this race.
Is Alex Lowes having a bit of a rush?
Now Alex is going to try and get him. If he gets fast out of
here, Sterling,
this is all up.
He's having a go now. It's a big ask.
Brooks was good though. He was quick and tidy out of the the left-hander at Sterling's, into the right-hander, through clearways, into the Clark curve. Could it be finally, after 8 podiums, he's going to grab a race win for Taiko Taiko Suzuki. Josh Brooks takes victory here at Brands Hatch. Second place for Alex Lowe's Samsung Honda. Third place, and congratulations to all at Taiko Suzuki. Third place, a lonely one to Yuichi Kiyanari, the former champion. Fourth place, brilliantly, to James Westmoreland on the build-based BMW. And look at this going on here. We've got battles going on for the places. Howie Mainwaring trying to get the better of Keith Farmer. Jacobson is fifth. Kirkman gets sixth. That's a good race there for that. And look at that. Linfoot nicks seventh. Farmer gets eighth just from Mainwaring, who's got the better of Michael Rutter in 10th place. But Josh Brooks soaking up the applause. He's finally won it. Look at that average speed, James. 100.42 miles per hour.
Yeah, what? It is impressive. What a good drive for Josh there.
Wonderful. So Yuichi Kiyanari congratulates Josh Brooks on that race win. And what Kiyo knows is he's right back in contention for this title. He's just gradually getting back to his best. Yeah, and Westmoreland there in fourth. What a ride from him on the BM. That looks like he might move into top 6 from memory in the championship. Yes, you're right. He was only 4 points behind John Kirkham before this race. Mind you, Kirkham ended up in 6th place, James. Yeah, he did. I think that'll shove Westmoreland through into that vital top 6. Also, what a good ride. I've got to mention, in 9th, Howie Mainwaring. Yes, MH, excellent. Michael Allis Kawasaki, what a good ride from him. James Ellison there will start from pole position, even though he's looking less than chuffed with life. Very, very thoughtful. I'd like to say a great thanks to James Ellison's lovely cousin, a lady who's a nurse who looked after my dear friend Anthony Sutton after when he had his knee replaced recently. Anthony Sutton, the esteemed editor of Dirt Bike Rider magazine, said a lovely lady who was a cousin of James Ellison's was looking after him. Oh, well done, Josh. That's good to see. I don't know whether it's legal. I'm not sure it's very PC, that one, but good on you. I like that. Doffing the top hat. So MCE British Superbikes in association with Pirelli, Josh Brooks, Taiko Suzuki wins it from Alex Lowe's. Yuichi Kiyanari makes it to Samsung Honda 2-3. James Westmoreland, great race for build-based BMW because they go 4th and 6th with PJ Jacobson in between them. Good result for Taiko Suzuki as well. Dan Linfoot on the Lloyd's British GB Motor Honda is 7th ahead of Keith Farmer. Howie Mainwaring, great result for the MH Kawasaki team ahead of Michael Rutter. Back in the boil, on the Batham's Honda. Jakob Smertz gets 11th for Paget's Honda. Lee Costello and for Halsall Racing Kawasaki ahead of Peter Hickman, Josh Waters and Carl Harris. Just outside the points, Martin Jessup, Aaron Zanotti, Jenny Tinmouth, Danny Buchan and, of course, the unlucky Shaky Byrne. So the championship standings will have changed subtly but interestingly. Just 10 points now separate Shaky Byrne from a new second-place man, Josh Brooks, 2 points ahead of Alex Lowe's. James Ellison remains third by a single point from Yuichi Kiyanari, and John Kirkham does maintain a top 6 position by a single point from his teammate Westmoreland. The loser was Chris Walker in that escapade with James Ellison. He slips to 8th place, 9th for PJ Jacobson, 10th Keith Farmer, 11th place for Peter Hickman ahead of Tommy Bridewell. Howie Mainwaring is now joint 13th with Jakob Smertz ahead of Waters, Linfoot, Rutter, Biocco, Harms and Harris. Josh Brooks then, finally, his 9th podium is a victory. Stuart Johnston there and Philip Neal look pretty pleased with that and have every reason to be. And this is the remainder. Well, James, how long has he got? Have they got to repair this? Yeah, don't be that alarmed. I mean, there's a lot of bodywork there that's ripped off. They can look a lot worse than they are. The wheels look like they're in the right place. It doesn't look like it's ripped. No, but honestly, if it's ripped the headstock out, the job's over for the day. It doesn't look like that's happened, but there is a fair amount of bodging to be done on that bike before they can get it out for race 2. I like that word, bodging. And, of course, Stuart Bland was ordered to go out to Laguna Seca by Paul Burt, so he's not there to direct operations. Wrong word was bodging. What I mean is rushed, it's a professional team. They all know what they're doing. They've got although it's a single bike rule, they'll have to have sub-assemblies of, subframes with everything bolted on, and they've have a complete front end with forks and brakes and wheels. So, they are set up to do that, but it's still going to be a big ask to get that bike out in a couple of hours. I like that. That's a lovely kind of Australian, Irish, English kind of group there in conversation. Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ryuichi Kiyanari, our third place finisher. Another podium in the BSB, but how was your pace out there?
Very slow. I'm very